Join us for a review of the Insignia facelift as Insignia GSi. Let's go! In the front here, the Opel Insignia or Vauxhall Insignia gets a new face indeed with this facelift, and that means a front grille that is a little bit slimmer, and you can see also from the base logo we have the horizontal fins that lead more over to the headlamps. Before there was like a wing curve in it, so it looks a little bit sleeker and slimmer than before. New headlamp form as well, and they start from base with LED, and the higher trims, including the sporty trim here, the GSi, gets the so-called pixel light. Other name at other brands would be matrix LED, so it's a more elaborated LED function than for a high beam, and overall then 168 LEDs overall. The Grand Sport is 4 meters 90, 16 foot 1 or 193 inches, whereas the Sports Tourer, the Estate, is 4 meters 99, 16 foot 4 or 196 inches, just a little bit longer rear overhang, but of course the very same wheelbase. Wheels usually start 17-inch, and they're 18-inch wheels, and then there's directly a step to the GSi where you directly get now the 20-inch wheels. Pretty impressive and massive, definitely, and also good that they have more standard equipment than in this case. You get a base suspension and then optional so-called flex ride. That's an adaptive suspension. It's also standard in here for the GSi, and it's very interesting because no matter if you, for example, pick the driving modes, then you can decide it yourself. But also, if you just say in the very same base ride driving mode, after a few corners of sporty driving, the adaptive suspension sees, oh, this guy wants to drive a little bit sporty, and then the dampers get a little bit stiffer. Interesting technology, definitely. In the rear, the Grand Sport has this very dynamic shape. The GSi also adds this massive spoiler, but it looks still elegant and integrated, I think. And also a contrasting lower bumper here in shiny black. Is this a case for the Autogefühl fake exhaust police? The rear exhaust is on the inside, and then there's this tip on the outside, but it's also metal. I can do it now because the car is not hot. I think for a fake something, it is very well integrated. So about the engines, all renewed or completely new. This is the top sporty engine, the 2-liter 4-cylinder. Turbocharged 230 horsepower for the GSi, and also with all-wheel drive, front plus rear on demand. 7.4 seconds to 100 kilometers or 62 miles now is the acceleration figure. The all-wheel drive will be set on demand with the button. We're going to talk about that while driving the vehicle very soon. So that's the top GSi trim. You know, it was a 260 horsepower trim once, then they downgraded it to 200 again. Now they upgraded to a 30 again because they were always searching for the point. Performance, yes, but also low fuel consumption and so on. Now there's the 230 horsepower version. Then let's get inside. And the normal sport seat for the GSi is actually very recommendable, and again also with the Alcantara surface, stays cooler in summer and actually a little bit warmer in winter. Here it's quite stiff seating position. You also don't feel like it would be suitable that much for tall people, so I really will stick with the normal sport seats. But here, for performance seats, they still give you a decent comfort. Putting in the lowest position, then with 1.86 m or 6'1", there's still enough headroom left. There's a mid-sized sedan here, and also a rather typical seating position for that. GSi also sits a little bit lower than sportier character. You definitely see that also with the difference when you see the normal versions. Interior overview, here again soft touch, then this integrated screen right there. I think it's very well integrated in this dashboard. Then you can see a manual climate unit in the lower part. First of all, about the screen sizes. It starts with the base Insignia with 3.5 smaller screen, then optional is 8-inch screen, or also standard for the GSi. On the left side, a 7-inch screen would be standard, and then optional this 8-inch screen. But here in the GSi, this 8-inch dual setup is always standard, so as you can see it right here. Soon more details to each screens. Then the steering wheel again with a good size and good grip. Thought about this setup here could be a little bit better, but then in the middle part, pretty good overview here with still a manual climate knob, home hotkey button for the infotainment screen. The manual climate unit is very easy to control. It doesn't resonate very high build quality, but again, it's straightforward. Also here, seat cooling is an option. Infotainment software has also been updated, and the cool thing is really it's way faster than before, so that's actually pretty cool. So you see here there's hardly any loading time for that. Jumping to the GPS here, see here very responsive, so they obviously matched the CPU unit to that, which was actually needed. You can here see the instrument cluster. It comes from an analog spec here, right, and also on the left side. On the other hand, you can say that's cool to have an analog meter. What's your take on that? Then this 8-inch screen in the middle part then for digital speed, for example. You can also switch some other information right there. So yeah, but actually, again, pretty simple and straightforward. And now to the rear. Soft touch also at the inside rear doors here. You can see here already that you have a lot of room actually. Very nice. In the middle console, 2 USB-A supplies in the lower part, and also an option for a seat heating for the rear outside seats. And let's get inside. And for the mid-size segment, this car is pretty long actually, and that is also displayed in the wheelbase. And here, a lot of legroom left here, so this is very decent, comparable, for example, with a Skoda Superb. So really feeling comfortable here, and with the headroom here with 1.86 or 6'1", it directly fits. Just when I put my head all the way back, then I would hit the ceiling. This will be different in the Estate. Soon going to show you that. But here, I mean, yeah, that's still somewhat okay. The Grand Sport hatch opens like this here, pressing the logo, and this manual hatch, and it's good that we have this fastback opening, unlike a classic sedan where it would be limited in the access here, so pretty cool. You do have this loading sill here, however, that's the disadvantage then here of the Grand Sport compared to the Estate. Welcome to Thomas's Driving Lounge with the Insignia GSi, and we have a lot of facelift changes here shown to you actually, and driving wise now really interesting what has changed there and also what modes you can actually pick from. So the most notable thing here is of course this different suspension, the flex ride, the adaptive suspension, and we have also 20-inch wheels mounted. So this is actually the biggest difference. When you drive the base Insignia, then you have a rather softer ride, nothing special sporty, but here definitely when you have the 20-inch wheels, this feels pretty stiff then. So when you have like some bumps on the road or so, you definitely notice these 20-inch wheels. However, the adaptive suspension evens it out a little bit, and it's also a very interesting system that it actually reacts according to your driving. So indeed, when I drive like this, it stays rather soft, but if the system would realize I would be like, oh, Thomas goes racing, like I'm going in some corners here or doing some slalom, then you feel that the suspension gets a little bit stiffer immediately. So that's a very interesting reaction from that adaptive suspension. And I mean, yeah, why not? And you can also pick it in different driving modes. So we have the driving mode selector, normal, tour or sport. Tour would be then the most comfortable setup, but there's also a normal setup, which is like a compromise, and then there's sport, and then in the sport setting, dampers get stiffer a little bit more themselves. Steering feeling here is not the most natural one, but it's pretty direct. I don't have to steer too much. Let's see also what the first acceleration just with front wheel drive, 50 to 100. Let's go. Plop, that's it, and that's pretty quick, very nice. There's no one behind us, so we can directly repeat it with all-wheel drive, and let's see then what the difference is. We have to check in the timecode later on, so I press the all-wheel drive button. Hard to see if it's activated or not. Yeah, it takes a while. Now it's activated, and now again 50 kilometers to 100 kilometers, so 2 to 60 miles with the all-wheel drive now, and let's go. Plop, that's it, 100 kilometers. And I'm not sure, we really have to compare the time code. Not sure, oh, there's a new Opel Mokka electric camo vehicle here around the Opel headquarters and the plant in Rüsselsheim, Germany. So with the all-wheel drive, on the one hand, there's more friction and so on. There would be more grip then, but I think, when we have like dry conditions as we have it right now here, I would suppose that maybe the front-wheel drive only would be even faster. The all-wheel drive has the advantage, if you want to drive it a little bit sporty, we really felt that, but we also got the push from the rear, then not only the pull from the front, so it feels sportier, definitely. And it will be sportier in corners, because at the rear axle there is a torque vectoring system. So that means for the rear axle I can get more power, for example, I think right here, I can get more power actually on the outside wheel of corner. So, and that is of course very helpful then to get out of the corners here. And that feels actually quite nice. So you would activate the all-wheel drive when you want to drive sportier, when you want to enjoy some countryside roads and so on. And of course, if you go skiing, maybe when there's like a slippery road and so on and so on. So they put it actually on demand, because usually it's more efficient than just to drive front-wheel drive only. So to reach a better fuel economy, that's the reason behind it. What you can also do is, when you have the all-wheel drive activated, you can go to like the ESC Sport mode here. But then when you press it twice, did that now, and you already had the all-wheel drive activated, then you are in this competition mode, and this further reduces the stability control and lets you use the car in a more competitive way, and indeed it feels quite sporty, so you have a very good handling of this vehicle. It's not a very short car, but due to this good handling and the crisp steering, again, it doesn't feel the most natural, but it's precise, and overall I'm quite happy with the steering feeling. And the car doesn't feel too heavy, and considering the length, it feels really nicely agile, I would say. And then of course here in the GSi, when the road is well done, with the 20-inch wheels, you do have a lot of street contact together with the adaptive suspension. So overall, I think the sporty looks, I think it definitely holds what the look is, what the look is promising actually. So every lane change is quite fun. yeah, this is huge systems cover. When we, bam, like when we go in there, then you do feel it again. But it's more about 20-inch wheels and not so much about the suspension, which is actually quite good, I would say. And now to our conclusion for today with the Opel Insignia GSi. By the way, the colors for today were chili red and the estate in light grey. From the exterior, it's not an all-new vehicle, but it still has a very modern shape, especially a very elegant form as the Grand Sport. And with the new facelift here, we have a more, sleeker and modern design, especially here for the very front. There are also nice updates on the interior, especially with this very fast infotainment system. So one of the fastest infotainment system we have seen recently. Of course, the overall interior styling is rather a little bit outdated, and here and there we, could expect a little bit more build quality, but everything is actually quite solid and easy to use, a straightforward vehicle, and that's also very important, especially because you can use everything in a very easy way while driving. The space that is being offered is actually quite good, so you have a lot of space, even more practical in the estate, but the Grand Sport is already a very good compromise. While driving, we've noticed that the 20-inch wheels here in the GSi, that can get a little bit rough, so you have to like this very direct approach. But of course, you can also go for some of the lower spec engines and then maybe add a GS line to have still a sporty exterior, but then a softer ride maybe with 17 or 18-inch wheels, so that would also be possible. The suspension is actually quite good, also from the steering feel, so we can very well control this vehicle. It feels a little bit smaller and lighter than it actually is, because the driving is really very good overall. The performance from this engine is also very nice, so we had a lot of drive from that. All-wheel drive then on demand. With this torque vectoring here exclusively for the GSi, you could get out of the corners even a little bit better. When we deactivate the all-wheel drive, front-wheel drive only, and we make like a normal consumption run, try to get it a little bit lower, then we could score some 7 liters on 100 kilometers, which would be 34 mpg US or 41 mpg UK, which is, considering the performance of the engine, still quite okay. Of course, it could be a little bit better, maybe with an MF system, but they already have cylinder deactivation here for this new 2-liter petrol engine, so there's also a step forward. And when you, of course, max it out a little bit, then the consumption will get worse, but that's, of course, no wonder at all. Overall, I think a very, very solid performance from this vehicle. It's a lot of fun, definitely here in the GSi trim. And pricing, taking German reference, starts about 30,000 euros. And here the GSi, top spec, all-wheel drive and so on, you reach something about 50,000 euros. So that's for today with the Insignia facelift and the special GSi version. Again, really a global car with all of its different brand names. It was also nice to have a different setting here from the Opel plant in Rüsselsheim. So always nice to, show you some other locations and something, it has some old school layout, because in past generations here there were a lot more cars being built here, a lot more was going on. But still, they're still selling a lot of cars now. Meanwhile, belong to the PSA group, formerly to GM. This year, also the new engines. This is still a GM car, so to say, a GM corporation car. The next generation then will be a PSA car, so to say. So, thank you so much again for tuning in today. We also link some interesting videos in the video description in the pinned comment, which you can also follow right now. And we'll see you there.